The biggest station in the world, playing all of today's hits. You're listening to Instinct Radio.
Welcome to Success Atlanta. I'm your host, Antonio, the Soldierpreneur Board. Thank you so much for being here with us. Hey, you could be anywhere else in the world, man, but you decided to take some time out to check us out and to be inspired. That's what we do here. We help people, we help inspire people to become greater than themselves, than they currently are. So we inspire entrepreneurs and small business owners to help scale their business and help them become more marketable in their particular genre, whatever it is that they do. We have a great show today. Today is all about taking risks, which is what we do every day. We take risks, man. Calculated risks, some uncalculated. But we like to focus on these things because we have to focus on these things today because there's so much that is out there that people don't know because they're not willing to challenge themselves. They're not willing to challenge themselves for several different reasons. You name it. They're scared. They're out of fear, out of so many different things that they don't even know because they haven't took the time even to find out within themselves. It's important. It's important to do these things. It's important to even put yourself out there because the unknown is unknown for a reason. You haven't took the time to try it out. But first off, I just want to say that I'm very grateful for the position that I'm in, for my family, my friends. I love you guys. I love my wife, my boys, my business partner. I appreciate you for being here with me, man. And this is going to be an awesome journey with Success Atlanta. You just have no idea what we have in store for you guys. And that's taking the risk, right? That's taking the risk. That's what we do. When I first started out, my first business with Legal Shield, you didn't know exactly what was going on because I was in uncharted territory. I didn't know. I was just focused on what I could do with the business, how many people I could help, and how it was going to change my mind and my life and people that are around me. And that's exactly what it did. It helped me change, helped me evolve. A lot of people don't understand what that journey is because they're not willing to step out there in the unknown. And that's what I did. And so I found a way to make more money outside of my 9 to 5. And it was important to do that for me because I was stuck. I didn't have anything else to follow up on, to believe in, and to trust because I was just me. I was scared. I didn't have nothing else going on, and nothing else made sense to me. So that made sense to me, and this evolved into what Success Atlanta is right now because I was willing to take a chance upon myself. And a lot of people have done that, and one guy in particular put it out there for the masses, a popular gentleman named Steve Harvey. He put it out there to the masses. Actually, it was unscheduled, as a matter of fact. He wrote a book called Jump. It was in reference to an unscheduled, the cameras were still rolling. He was taping Family Feud. And so he decided to talk to people in the audience about jumping out there and becoming greater than themselves. And it evolved, it morphed, and he kept going with it. He kept following it, and it morphed into a book. And next thing you know, he is a motivational speaker. He has several different videos on YouTube, but I found one that was great. It was short and sweet, and that's what I'm going to play for you right now. So without further ado, this is Steve Harvey and a promo to his book, really, Jump. So I'll talk to you in just a few minutes.
A lot of people have been direct messaging me, asking me,
have to do. You have to jump. There is no way around it. You have to jump. Every successful person has jumped. You got to jump. You got to take a leap of faith. You got to dash off that cliff and you got to jump out there as far as you can. Now, a lot of times you stand on the cliff of life and you see other people soaring by, gliding down like a bird flying through the air. You know, they going over to the south of France. You see them on a boat somewhere. You see their family vacationing here, their family vacationing there, You see them dressing like this. You see them in New York, then you see them in London. They flying by. You know why? It's because their parachute open. But the only way to get your parachute to open so you can soar, you got to jump. Now here's the problem. Here's the problem, my friends. When you jump, I can assure you one thing. You listening? I promise you this. Your parachute will not open right away. No, that's the fear part. I promise you your parachute will not open right away. You're going to hit them sides and them rocks. You're going to tear your back out on them cliffs. You're going to cut yourself. You're going to get wounded. You're going to get some tears and stuff like that. But eventually, the parachute will open and you'll be soaring. But here's the other caveat. Let me teach you this right here. If you do not jump, I promise you one thing. Your parachute will never open. So you're safe, but you'll never soar. You got to jump. I got to go.
Welcome back to Success Atlanta. I'm your host, Antonio Boyd, and that was definitely a great video right there by my man, Steve Harvey. I mean, I respect that man. I mean, he really took charge and took that message and is really taking it to the masses. And that shows a lot of risk because he's risking what he's actually built already in the comedy business and in the business and on TV shows, right? So that right there was an awesome video because it details so much about what it takes to get your parachute open. It's gonna take a lot. It's gonna take a lot, and you're gonna go through a lot of failures, a lot of ifs, a lot of buts, a lot of no, you can't come here. No, this won't work. No, why are you trying this again? All these bumps and scrapes, and people are gonna fall away from you. You're gonna lose a lot of friends, and you lose a lot of family members at that because you've taken a risk on yourself. You gambled, and it's paying off for you because you believe it. Right? You believe in it all. This is his book. As you see it right here, this is his book. I'm going to read a passage from it. It pretty much hit home with me. So let me put it out here real quick. It says, I know that it can sometimes be hard to get out of bed, to go to a job you don't love, one that doesn't challenge you or even help you pay your monthly bills. I know what it feels like to be in a relationship or a marriage that isn't right for you, that doesn't sustain you in the way they need to. But can you afford to stay where you are, living day to day without hope or faith? I recommend that you get up and do something that brings you one step closer to being in a better situation. I encourage you to trust yourself in your gift and in God. That says it all for me. I mean, you have to understand where you're at and where you're trying to go, because if you don't understand where you are and how you got there, it's all a matter of choice. For me, it's all a matter of choice. We can choose to be in our state of mind. We can choose to be in a state of financial crisis. We can choose to be in our state of relationship, whatever it is. That's our choice. A lot of things that are coming that are outside of that may be controlling certain things, like your job or your location, where you're at. I mean, but you choose to deal with those things and you choose to accept it. And that's what happens when people get stuck where they are, because they're caught in the system. They're caught in their own system they created for themselves. These own routines, day-to-day routines, day-to-day thoughts, day-to-day transactions that you do every day, every week, every month. You plan it out, and it's already there. It's already laid out. You're not comfortable though. But you do it all every day. You're not comfortable though, but you keep doing it. And it's a never-ending cycle. It's one of those things that you really don't understand because you haven't took the time out to pause and understand where you are, but you don't know if you have the ability to change it. But you do. You do have the ability to change. You have the ability to adjust fire. You have the ability to move where you want to go at a moment's notice. Just change the way you think. Just change the way you think. That would get you to where you need to be. There are some current events wise. There's something that just happened. Somebody had a comment. Well, Ben Carson, the gentleman, he was running for president this past election, and he made a comment about poverty mindset. And as opposed to the poverty mindset, it's the prosperity mindset. Right? Those two two ends of the spectrum. These mindsets push you in one direction or the next. Poverty mindset keeps you where you are. The prosperity mindset pushes you in the right direction of abundance, which is what this book is all about, to help you live in abundance. So he made the mention that a gentleman that has it all, but he has the right mindset, you take all that he's worked for, all that money, all whatever he's worked for, and drop him back down on the street, guarantee you he'll come back because he had the right mindset, come back to the top because he had the right mindset. But a person who has the wrong mindset, you give him everything, guarantee you they'll be back on the bottom soon, real soon. And I agree. There's a lot of people that say, what are you talking about? Because they point out certain things in his context that basically made the whole thing false, which I don't agree with. But anyway, there's certain things that you don't agree with everybody. But that I do agree with. The prosperity mindset against the poverty mindset, that right there keeps you where you are. Your mindset keeps you where you think, keeps you where you are. Choose to think differently. If you try to do that, I guarantee you, you're going to be pushing a lot faster and your progression higher rather than staying the status quo where you currently are. Because it's important to keep thinking, keep changing, keep maneuvering, because our brain is capable of it. It's capable of doing all of that. So the risk that you take for staying in the poverty mindset weighs so much more than the risk you're taking in the prosperity mindset. Prosperity mindset, you can't get enough. You're obsessed with progressing. You're obsessed with living greater, thinking greater, knowing that anything is possible. There's no such thing as impossible. You can do it. You just got to make a decision and do it. But that poverty mindset will keep you there. You will never jump because of that mindset. But all it takes is a decision, and you'll get out of that mindset. Get yourself around the right type of people. Like we here at Success Atlanta, you will be awesome. That's what our internet, that's what our social media is for. We have successatlanta.org, right? So basically we created this opportunity for you to get your ideas out there, right? To talk out whatever's bothering you or your ideas that you're passionate about that you don't know how to take it to the marketplace. So we help facilitate that idea and push you to the brink to say, hey, you know what? I'm ready to pull the trigger. I'm ready to get this thing started. And that's what successatlanta.org is all about. You come to the site, create your profile, engage in one of the forums, create a forum. Whatever ideas you want to talk about, get it out there and let's talk about it. Let's understand where you are and where you're trying to go. And let us help you get there. We have a lot of people, a lot of mentors. I work with SCORE, actually, which is a nonprofit of the Small Business Administration, which is a government program, of course. But we have nonprofit mentors in any facet that you want to get into. If you want to help with your marketing, you want to get help with whatever it is that you have ideas on, your finances, you want to change your financial structure. We got CFOs, retired CFOs that can help. So all facets of business, we can get you started or increase and scale your business. And that's exactly what we're all about here at Success Atlanta, helping you dictate your future growth, because you have the choice to dictate where you want to go with your business or whatever you got going on. So that's what we're here for. And we actually got an awesome guest that we're going to talk about all the risks that he's taking. Rafael Fernandez, I appreciate you for being here, man, because your story, from what I read, was like it was something serious. At a young age, that's crazy to even learn all that stuff that you've been able to accomplish, for one. And this man has done great things at such a young age, and we want to put it all out there, what he's been through, what his business is all about. And I'm going to show you a video of what his business is all about. We're going to talk about flipswitch.net. Is that right? Flipswitch.net? Flipswitchgames.net. Sorry about that. And so he has this business that he's started, and he's been scaling this business left and right. He's been working and working hard and living his life in the same time. So a lot of risks has been taken, but a lot of rewards has been gotten from him. So without further ado, I'm going to show this one quick video of a product that he's still working on. So definitely let me just say my opinion so far from what I've seen. There's so many different areas that can be used with this video. So many different areas, but we'll talk more about that after you get done watching, so you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. I don't want to spoil it for you. So anyway, without further ado, this is a quick video. Next time you'll see me, Rafael will join me at my desk, and we'll be chopping it up. All right, make sure you own it now.
Hello guys, this is Fire here, and I'm the Public Relations Manager for Flip Switch Games. We're excited to finally be able to show you all some solid progress on the base structure of the game. Today, we finally get to show you all some fire department gameplay. There are a few things we want to show you right off the bat. Right now, we have got a car fire to put out, so let's get to it. Keep in mind, we want you all to notice the smallest details we have put into this project to make it as immersive and lifelike as possible to the people who are playing. Emergency lights that change while you are parked or moving, and a working exhaust hose that detaches from the truck as you leave the firehouse. Let's make our way down. Each member of our company will have a specific task once we get to the fire. One to put the fire out, one to open the doors, and break windows to ventilate the car, and another to manage our flow of water. Our captain will also be overlooking us as we put the fire out. Right now, we will control each different character to show you some of the different tasks with each. However, you do have the option to simply be in control of one character and let the AI take care of the rest. You can see we have also been working on the night environment and lighting, which we expect is going to look great once we are done with it. Making our way through traffic here, we have a few blocks to go up before we get there. Should be around the corner here, so let's look for a water supply and pull up to this hydrant right here. We probably don't need to use a hydrant as it's a small fire and our pump carries more than enough to extinguish it. But we would like to show a small preview of the duties of the chauffeur apart from driving. We have a little crowd forming over here taking pictures. Pedestrians will sometimes stop to take photos or watch you take care of emergencies. We will go ahead and attach our supply line to the hydrant, giving us a water supply that we can now walk over to the pump and give that water to a line that one of our members is fishing right now. Let's press our action key to supply water to the line and switch over to our nozzle and have some fun. Before we put the fire out, let's pop the hood and break some windows to get smoke and fire showing. Emerge NYC's physics-based fire and smoke is completely dynamic and interacts with the surroundings. Most of the low-quality animations and characters are placeholders as we wait to work on more realistic animations. As we put water on the fire, you can see the smoke turns white to let you know it has been extinguished. Emerge NYC is still early in development and slowly progressing, so nothing here is final. We have a very small team of no more than 5 people, and very small amount of resources but working voluntarily. We have so much more we can't wait to show you in the near future. Our website is back up and running, and we hope to see some community growth soon. Stay tuned on our Facebook forum or Steam Greenlight page for future updates. If you guys want to check out my YouTube channel, the link will be in the description below.
The biggest station in the world, playing all of today's hits. You're listening to Instinct Radio.
Welcome back to Success Atlanta. I'm your host, Antonio, the entrepreneur. Well, now it's a soldierpreneur, boy. I changed my name, man. That's just how it is, man. Anyway, we're joined by my partner, my business partner, Jonathan Tremblay in the building. And we have our guest, Rafael. Rafael, say what's up to everybody, man.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Man. Good stuff, man. I'm glad you could join us. I mean, in and out of town, man. So, you've been everywhere, even when you was younger, right? You was moving around, going different places. So I mean, you're used to moving around, right? I mean,
yeah, I am. My parents travel a lot, especially my mom. My mom's more on the Europe side of things, and my dad's he's a wild nature photographer, so he likes to go to Africa. And I never been on those crazy trips with him, but I would love to go someday.
Yeah, man, that would be fun for you, man. I think you would take a lot of great pictures, you know. You'd probably put them on one of your video games or something like that, right? You have a wild safari video game.
That would be pretty cool.
Hey, now that right
One
there.
day.
Hey, I'm
That's
just
a good
throwing
idea.
it out
I'll
there, man.
keep that in mind.
Yeah, man, just put it in the tough box, you know, and pull it out when you feel like you got some time.
A little
Yeah,
flair from the family.
I think you definitely need a level of maturity to travel with my dad on those kinds of trips, because he told me the other day he sits there in one spot for 6 hours waiting for something to happen to get on pictures, and I know I would go insane before he caught something. So
That's true, man. That's true.
but I guess that's definitely something that he's passionate about, so he has the will to do that stuff. But that's something in each and every person. They have a different passion for something.
There you go.
That's his, and mine is definitely not sitting in one spot for 6 hours. So.
I mean, you went through a lot to try to find your passion. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's something everybody goes through. Some people find their passion pretty early on. And like me, it wasn't that it was hard for me to find a passion, but it was hard for me to find one thing to really, focus on. Because I love a bunch of different things. I love music. I love art. I used to love writing, and I used to love just like drawing and stuff. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a pilot at one point. I wanted to be a cop. I wanted to be a
firefighter.
Every kid that wanted to be like a cop or a firefighter, or. But the one thing that I really grew up wanting to do was be a firefighter. But I guess as you grow up, you find what you really want to do, and it takes a lot of time for some people, and for others, it's something. There's artists who, they started doing music when they were 3, and now they're legendary musicians, so that's something for them. But it probably wasn't until I was like 19 or 18 that I knew I was going to do what I'm doing now. I didn't even know then, honestly. I didn't know I was going to do what I'm doing now until like probably 2 years ago or last year. So, but it was always like, I had it. That's something I was working on, but taking the next step to like, okay, this is what I'm going to do with my life and what I'm going to invest all my time into. That's something that it's hard to face for anybody, because, it's like, am I sure I want to do, like, I know I want to do it because I love what I do,
Right.
But coming to that decision, like, this is what I'm going to do with my life, or this is what I'm going to put so much of my time and my money and my effort into. It's really scary.
Huge risk, right?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But and I find it interesting. You're sitting here saying that by 19 you found your passion, and I think you were about to point out the same thing, that and Rafael here, he's an impressive individual, and his his mind is wide open. It's an open parachute, and it sees things just a certain way. But, you know, I know that for a lot of our viewers, part of the reason that they watch our show is because they struggle with finding their passion. They struggle with finding out what it is that they want to do. And I know that for me, I mean, I can't say that I'm super old or anything like that myself, so it took me a while to kind of figure out my passion also. But I know so many people out there that struggle to find their passion. They look for it and they just never actually find it. So actually, for you to have found it at 19 years old, and I don't want you to get it mixed up, you are out of the norm here. You are somebody who, again, like when I met you at first, I was like, oh, just some 20-year-old kid, and he's just doing his thing. And then I get to meet him, and I start learning more about him, and I started to notice that your mind is it's on a different level than most people, and thanks to that, you've been able to find your passion and dig into it at such an early age. I mean, if you don't mind me asking for our viewers, are you feel comfortable giving your age as of right now? Because you're not that old right now either.
No, I'm 22. I don't really.
So you're 22, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, this is a 22-year-old individual who is currently running a gaming empire here. And, I mean, it's just, again, Rafael, I just want that to be clear to you and to our viewers that this is cream of the crop, finding your passion right here. And I think that we would love to learn more about how you figured that out, man, because that was something else.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's everybody's like, oh my God, you're 22, you own this business.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't understand, like,
how big is the business, real quick?
The thing is, like, my business at this point, it's me, like, and I have like 2 guys who help me with PR, and then I have 1 guy who's programming for me. But like 2 or 3 months ago, I had 6 or 7 people working for me. Wow. But I found that wasn't really my optimal move at that point.
Sure.
It was expensive. It was.
So
I didn't feel like.
Strategy.
Yeah, I didn't feel like I was getting as much as I could be getting done with everybody. Like this new guy I'm working with. He's like some guy that I contracted. He works like 40% of the price that they were working for.
Wow.
Right.
And he gets 2 or 3 times more stuff done than they do. So, I was like, I stopped to pay them off what I owe them, but I told them like, guys, found this guy. But
our company's reworking our strategy.
Yeah. So when you say
not part of it.
When you say gaming empire, it's I wouldn't consider it an empire, like with the people who are working on it, but the people who play it and the fan base and everything, I would call it an empire because
exactly, and that's really where it's at. Really at the end of the day, I don't think it matters how many people you actually have employed. I think it matters how many people are following and how many people are buying your product. And I mean, what's the latest update on? So you've got your game on Steam.
Steam, yeah, I've seen that.
Emerge NYC. What is your current sales or just number of people that you've sold to?
I don't know the exact number, but I know where gross sales is about 150,000, and wow. I released it in November 3rd of 2016. So
that's amazing. Jeez. That's incredible, man. That's
6 figures within like 6 months.
Well,
right?
the first month was the most profitable. I think we made like 130,000 in sales.
Wow,
that's fantastic.
But the thing with a game business or any game is it's not something that's steady or stable. You always.
You get one burst.
I could put the game out and then I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna retire with all this money. But for me, it's like I want it to continually, I want to keep working on things to make sure people remain interested in the game, or people who don't play it, they see it and they're like, okay, I want to try this out.
Yeah.
So if you look at the sales, like it's like a roller coaster, but it's always exciting to do something new or put something out that really helps out with sales and. Keep getting new people interested, or the people who they put it on their wish list or something, and then when I put a sale or something, then they buy it. So it's always good to experiment and take risks. So I've cut the price of the game down like twice by like $10 or $15, and it's like, oh, I'm cutting the price down of my game, but at the same time I'm opening it up to so many people who couldn't afford it. So when you cut the price, you see the sales rise a lot.
Right.
So
that's what's awesome. Who gave you that idea to do that? You just came up with that?
It was more like trial and error. You know, every time I
Just experimenting.
like the first time I cut the price down, I saw like I was making 10 grand like an hour, like the first 3 days.
for 3 whole days.
For 3
That's
days,
awesome.
yeah. So I was like, I need to do this more often. But eventually, I'm gonna get to a point where the game's like $5. I can't even cut
Right.
down anymore. But I was actually emailed today by the Valve who owns Steam, and they said, hey, I love your game. Like, we should put it on our summer sale, which runs for 13 days in June. And but that's front page, like
Right, that's feature.
they're like, we think it'd be
feature.
optimal if you put your game down 50%. So at that point, it'd be about $17. And he's like, yeah, you have 25,000 people who have the game on their wish list, but they haven't bought it. So this would definitely be something to
You
push
said
them.
25,000
Yeah,
people that have it in their wish list.
Jeez.
Wow, that is insane.
Damn.
yeah. So
Wow, that's
when
awesome.
he sent me that email, I was ecstatic. I was like,
I bet.
let's do it right now. You know.
Right.
excellent.
I mean, the marketing avenue for me with the video game, with that video game that I saw, I think it's exponential when it comes down to how many people you can touch and the how many people you can influence with this game. Of course, you have different proprietors, all the different firehouses, right? These are your proprietors. These are people who can push your idea to the marketplace, meaning that they can put on community events and have them play this game. And possibly they can even purchase the game. You understand what I'm saying? Or you can donate the game to them, and they can be more involved with the firehouse industry, so to speak. You
Yeah, I
understand
mean,
what I'm saying? Have
the
you
thing
thought
that
about
I
that?
would like to for a lot of people to know who are, wanting to get something started or a business, is that naturally nobody's gonna give, a damn about your product or anything.
Sure. Hey, say it like it is.
But what you need to do is say, okay, I know that I'm the one to change that. Like, I'm gonna show people that I'm the only one that can do it right. Like, I feel like I'm the only person who can do what I'm doing and do it right. I've seen, there's other games like mine, but they all turn out to just be like crap, And I feel that's how I feel. I feel like mine is the best one, and I feel like
We'll make
I'm
sure
the
it's
one.
the best. We'll make sure it's the best.
I think for me, like, I feel like it's the attention to detail and what you're able to do. Other games just shortcut everything, and
Okay.
Right.
they're like, oh, let's make a firefighting game, but they don't think about it,
Right.
They
Put a
don't,
product out there and get quick.
I'm an actual gamer. Like, I grew up wanting to, like, playing these games, and I was like, it'd be cool if somebody did this or that. So when I actually, went out of my way to learn how to do these things,
Wow.
I still have all those things in my head, and
And not only
talk about
did you
that.
grow up playing these games, but on top of that, I mean, we've seen your social media profiles, and they are just littered with all of your experiences with actual real fire departments. You're not out there just creating, because I imagine many of the developers who
point,
have made
good
some
point.
of the older different firefighting simulators, none of them have taken the attention to detail that you have, but it's also because you've researched that topic and it's something that you're passionate about. I mean, I think, were you not just a little while ago over with the fire department in New York? Is that right?
I was just there about 2 weeks ago
Yeah.
for like 8 or 9 days.
Yeah. Hey, you just
Wow.
what do you do when you go on those trips? I mean,
Yeah.
we see a lot of your social media, but why don't you give that an idea for our viewers?
I've always wanted to be a firefighter, especially in New York. I couldn't see myself working anywhere else. People were like, "Oh, why don't you work in in Georgia or Decatur or something?" Like, I'm like, "Nah, I'm
You're
gonna
like,
stick
I
to
actually
New-"
want to leave the firehouse.
Exactly. New York is the busiest fire department in the world, so
Wow.
that's another thing. You don't always want to just be sitting there doing nothing. But I think my first
action is.
when I started doing what I do, it was a game it was like a European game, just like one of those games I was talking about. They don't really pay attention to detail. It's just one of those fictional whatever. And I had no intentions of wanting to be a game developer or anything, but I had my passion to be a firefighter. So I opened the game up and I was like, oh, how cool would it be if people made like these type of things for like New York, So I spent 3 or 4 years learning how to make they're called mods. It's like a game that's already made. You can go into it and change it up, add your own things.
Plugins for
Yeah,
the game.
exactly.
And stuff.
Oh wow.
So I did that for 4 or 5 years. So the first one I made looked like a 2-year-old like put it together. I wish I could go back and show you guys like how far it's come,
I
but
wish I'd have found that one.
yeah. So after years and years on learning and like perfecting that craft, it turned more into like something I was doing for myself. I would go onto these online communities and be like, hey guys, look at this idea, like what do you guys think about it? And people would be like, oh, that's awesome. So as I was making it, you know, more for myself, I would be like, oh, here's some pictures from what I'm working on. And eventually I put it out to people and like
Sound like success.
And actually, let's clarify something for our viewers, for those that don't know. You're 22 years old. You must have some formal education in game development or as a software developer, right? You must have some kind of college degree or something like that, right? I mean, that's the only way that you can be an awesome game developer, right?
Just my high school diploma.
High school diploma. And again, I mean, I'm in the same boat. You know, I don't have a college degree. I did go to college, but I actually, and for those that don't know, I'm also a software developer myself with a very successful career in software development. But I think it just goes to prove that, and I think that's the main thing that I want to make clear to our viewers is, you know, it's not always the way that society tells you to do things.
Right.
If you have a passion for it and you want to learn it, you can take your own time to find out how to do it. And did you spend a whole terrible... I mean, most people must think, oh, if you want to become a game developer, I'm probably going to have to spend thousands of dollars on some kind of, like, some class or something, right? But did you spend any money on your education for that?
Actually, I did. When I graduated high school, I was so pressured to, like, oh, college, you got to do something, you know, you're going to...
like most of us feel,
everybody, you know how that pressure you get when you graduate. I applied to some schools, and I ended up applying to a school called Full Sail in Orlando. And I don't want people to, like, think I'm talking bad about them, but I didn't feel... I took 3 months online courses, and I didn't learn one thing about game development or game art. Because I took the course for game art, which is, like, 3D art and all that stuff. And I kind of was, as I was, like, going through these weeks of courses, I was thinking to myself, I don't want to work on somebody else's game. Like, the reason I'm doing this is because I spent the last 5 years teaching myself how to mod these games to make something that I wanted to make. I have no interest in making somebody else's game for them, to be honest. You know, there's people who make livings off that, being software developers or programmers. But for me, like, I had no interest in being a game artist to make some... you know, some like Smurfs for somebody's adventure game or something. But so I dropped out after that. Right when I dropped out was when I was supposed to move to Orlando to do on campus, and then we were gonna start spending like 10 hours a day in the classrooms. It was a 21-month expedited course, so you basically got a bachelor's degree in 2 years.
Gotcha.
And for me, I was like, I can't. I don't have the patience to do that. Like, I can't sit down.
You're like, this process is too slow, and I'm not learning at the pace that I need to be.
So
learning,
I told my dad. Ironically, at that same time, my dad was paying my sister's medical school and my other sister's tuition, and he told me, he was like, you know, see if you can take a break because I'm having a hard time paying all of your schools. So I said, that's perfect. You know,
that's perfect. I was just thinking the same thing.
I was just thinking, because my biggest fear was disappointing my parents. Like, oh, you guys, like, I don't feel like, I'm not feeling it, you know?
But again, I think this is another huge example of, ladies and gentlemen, 22 years old and doing it his own way. And society... I mean, again, like you said, when you graduate, there's an insane amount of pressure for every single individual to go to college because apparently that's the golden key to success in America, apparently. Yeah. And, you know, and again, I felt the same way. I did the exact same thing you did. I went to college. I took a computer degree, I took courses towards a computer science degree, and... I honestly felt like I was learning more on YouTube University. That's not a thing, guys, but that's what I call it.
It's a thing.
You know, right. We know that that's a thing, but but I mean, honestly, like I learned more on YouTube University than I did at my actual college, and that was where I said, you know, why am I investing all of this time and this money on this education when I can acquire even better education? I have spent money on my education outside of that, but usually they're with specialized courses with people who have the experience, which is I think is a big problem with the college education. Is there's a lot of people there.
Generalistic stuff, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of people there that are teaching that don't actually have the experience to doing what they do. So I mean, most of the people that were probably teaching your classes at Full Sail College were probably not game developers themselves, not even game business owners or whatever.
They didn't
right?
seem like it. So.
Exactly. Right.
Most of the time, that's how it is. I mean, for me, in my experience, I did the whole thing, right, and I didn't gain anything from it, right. I went to school, got my degree, got 2 degrees. Never got hired in either one of those facets. Never. Not on the level that I was supposed to be at, right? I finally got in the federal government, and I didn't even have to interview for it, but I got the job because I had a degree. But that job right there itself can't push me further, right? It's just a job, something that's just to keep you there, and that's not what I want. You know what I'm saying? But that's what these degrees, quote unquote, got me, and I'm with you as far as where you're at. That's like awesome for me. I mean, because you're not wasting any time or money or nobody else's patience. You're going for it and you're doing it your way.
Yeah, well, I want to go back and touch like some parts that I missed out about my life, but I got kicked out of my house at one point because I was throwing one too many parties. But this was after I dropped out. I'm pretty sure I started my whole idea with Emerge NYC. I started that this summer, like 3 years ago. So this was before. This was right after I dropped out. So what I did was I started a Kickstarter, which if you're an entrepreneur or somebody who's looking to start something, crowdfunding is definitely something that you should research and look into, because I know without crowdfunding I would have never been able to do what I did.
Wow.
Which is basically...
How much did you raise?
Kickstarter was when I didn't even know how to make a video game yet. I knew how to do some artwork, and I didn't know programming or anything, but I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew I had a great idea. So I taught myself like in a week. I made a little prototype, It was terrible, but we raised like $10,000, which is nothing for a video game. But at that time, I was like, I can do wonders with this. Yeah. So within like a month, all that money was spent, but it was spent to make the game, better. And,
definitely.
And I think a big thing is, and Antonio can definitely speak to that.
Wow.
He was actually the one that dove headfirst into Success Atlanta. I mean, me and him had talked about it, and we decided to do it. But Antonio was just running and going with it. And I think it just comes back to what you were doing, is you were saying, you know what? I don't even know how to develop a video game. I don't even know how this is going to work. I don't even know how this business is going to work. But I just know that I have a passion for it, and I know that no matter what, I can make this happen, Yeah,
I really believed in my idea, and I knew that's something that I would... At the time, I was like, what am I getting myself into? I was scared. I was, it's a lot to be responsible for, but people are out here giving you their money. People are donating $1,000 at a time. Wow. Trusting you to make their dream video game come true. Which the great thing is that I'm not the only one who has, this idea, but I'm the only one
actually doing it
with the possibilities to do it and the knowledge how to do it, and the one with the balls big enough to do it. So
exactly. No, that's awesome. And see, and I think of that.
I like
and
that,
again,
man.
and I want our viewers to realize that even for us with Success Atlanta, and we come up here, and a lot of people are very impressed with what we're doing. But and again, I think it's important that we're frank and we're real with our viewers. Right. We don't have it all figured out. But you know what? I think we have the same mentality as Raf does, is saying, you know what? We have no idea how we're going to turn this into the $1 billion business that we believe it can be. But you know what? We're out here, we're doing it, and as long as we're always taking steps forward, and I think that you can definitely attest to that. I mean, we've been on this path for about 6 months now, and you've been on this path following your business for about 6 years now. So and again, it takes time to achieve the success that he's had.
Yeah, I mean, when I was younger, and I had the entrepreneur mindset back then as well, and I would listen to the speakers and everybody, and they say it takes time and risks, but when you listen to that, it kind of goes over your head sometimes until you're actually in the position to be taking those risks and putting the 6 years of time, like hard time. I sit in my, I still do. I still sit in my room, like 90% of the week working. And my girlfriend, she hates it. Like, she wants to spend time with me, but I don't think anybody understands how much work I put into it.
Right.
And
absolutely.
especially at a time when you start up a business, you need to shut yourself out from everything and everyone. And you need to, if it's what you want to do,
That's true.
you need to sit down and, like, work on that nonstop until you have something, because
You locked yourself away?
that's what I did. I, like, no friends. No, but,
Team
you
no
know, I
friends.
had my social life. But I got to a point before that where it shot me into that realization. Like I said, when I got kicked out, I was moving from a room in a townhouse to living with my best friend at his mom's house. And then I moved out with him and another best friend into a 2-bedroom apartment where I offered myself to just live in the living room, until I realized, like, I can't live in the living room, you know, because you don't have any privacy. I wasn't working at all at that time. It was almost 6 or 8 months where I didn't do anything.
Didn't do anything.
I tried, but I couldn't do anything because I didn't have an office. I didn't have privacy. I didn't have time to work because I was so caught up in life with my friends,
Right.
or like,
Trying to get yourself together.
yeah. And I actually at the time I was working a $10 an hour job as an electrician
Yeah, you
for
said
almost
that.
a year.
Yeah.
So that whole time I kind of wasn't even thinking about the game or the project,
How'd you
because
keep-
I got to a point where I was like, I feel like I don't have what it takes, you know.
Right.
Everybody's gonna get to that point
was
where
that
they doubt
moment.
themselves, and I doubted myself. But I got to a period where I was like, I'm not. I went to the Dominican Republic, which is where I'm originally from, and when I got back, the night I was supposed to go to work in the morning, I text my boss. I was like, I'm not coming in tomorrow. Like, I have way too much potential, and I'm
awesome.
tired of this job holding me back. Like, I
You
have
got a
things that I need to
realization,
do.
huh?
Yeah, we just talked about that, getting held back by our jobs.
And that
a
was
lot
one
of
of the
time.
bigger
That's a
one.
big
That was
thing.
one of the biggest risks
What
I
happens,
took, and
man?
I called my dad, and I was ashamed. I told him, "Look, I quit my job. Like, I need to focus on what it is that I want to do. Like, I don't want to be an electrician. I really don't. I was not good at my job.
You say, yeah, nah, that
like,
job's not
nope.
my future. No, that job
But
is
I
not my future.
want to shout out to my dad and my mom, because
Shout out mom and pop.
some people aren't blessed enough like I am to have supportive parents, but
Yeah.
my parents have supported me in whatever I do. And my mom is like the biggest fan of my game. She goes out,
Really?
like, wherever she goes, she's handing out flyers and stuff. But my dad gives me some really,
I love it, man.
my dad gives me
Yeah.
some really good advice. He says, you know, no matter what it is you want to do, I don't care what it is, like, I'm gonna support you. And when I told him, like, I quit my job, like, you know, don't be expecting the money to be coming in anymore. He was like, I support you, you know, and
Yeah.
I believe in you. So, I was lucky enough to, like, not have to go to the bank directly and take loans. I would be like, hey, Dad, like, can you trust me to, like, lend me $3,000 and I'll pay you back? Like, I'll double it for you. It got to a point where I was so confident in my game where I said, here, lend me $1,500 and I'll give you back, like, $5,000 in, like, 2 months.
Dang.
That's a heck of an interest rate.
I mean,
Next
No,
time, call
because-
me, man. I'll loan you some money.
definitely.
Yeah.
Next time,
At that
call
interest
me.
rate.
No,
Seriously,
but it
next
was
time.
last year was my most, like, successful year where I really was, like,
Absolutely.
I was enjoying it because I could see, you know, I never did this because of the money. You know, money was always on my mind. I don't think it's on everybody's mind.
Of
But
course, yeah, of
I was
course.
never like, oh, I'm going to make millions of dollars. Like, I still am not like that.
That wasn't
But
your
when
primary focus.
When I put the game out and I saw how much money I was making, it was like, it was a wake-up call because I knew I could support myself. Like, I knew
Yeah.
people would
You could
finally
actually make a living off of that.
people would
for real.
finally be like, oh, so you're
Sully-
a game developer, you know?
Yeah.
But then before they'd be like, oh, so you make games, okay. You know, they wouldn't take you seriously. But to me, it's like, I don't consider myself a game developer. I consider myself an entrepreneur because I had an idea,
That's the
you
man
know,
right there.
and I learned what I had to do to make my idea come true. I don't want to be a game developer, but I love being a game developer, you know?
So since you said that says, I mean, come on now. Since you said that, so what's your next step, right? I mean, what is
That's where this mindset comes back into play because, like, I'll go back to what we were talking about New York trips. Everybody's like, oh, so are you a firefighter? Are you not a firefighter? Like, are you training over there, whatever? No, but
That's
when I
where
was
it's at.
making the mods for my games, like, I would go to New York often, but it was at that time where I would be like, oh, I want to go, like, go to firehouses, and I want to, like show my game to people. So I would go to firehouses. Like, I've been to almost every firehouse in New York City, and there's over 300 firehouses. And I would go.
This guy goes to a firehouse every 2 months, man.
Yeah. So I would go with my backpack and my laptop, and I would walk to the firehouse, knock on the door. Like, hey, my name's Rafael. Like, have you heard of my video game? They're like, what are you talking about? Because these are firefighters. You know, they don't really care about
This
video
is your
games.
marketing campaign.
Yeah, they don't really care about. To me, I wasn't out marketing to firefighters. I just wanted to be like, hey guys, look what I've done. Like,
Right.
it's pretty cool, right? And you know,
One of the things though,
the thing is, they
like
give you the weirdest look when you tell them. They're like, but then when I sit down in the firehouse kitchen and I sit down with like 16 guys next to me, and they're all around me like with my laptop, and I'm showing them, they're all with their eyes wide open, and they're like, wow, this is really cool. Like,
yeah.
Because
I'm thinking just you realize the training possibilities that a simulation like this brings up.
And that's what I'm getting to, is that I did that so much. And I went to the firehouse in Times Square, which is Engine 54, Ladder 4, and Battalion 9, which they're the busiest in like the whole country. So these guys are out the door every 5 minutes. And I get to know the chief there, which he's in charge of the whole operation. He runs like New Year's Eve in Times Square. Like, this guy has power. So he tells me like, yo, this is really cool. Like, you know, I remember one time I used to make videos like where I told him like, oh, I have this GoPro. Can I put it on the side of your car when you go on the call? So I would put it on and he would go. And one time he came back, he was like, oh, you know, the camera fell off. And I was like, but he was like, don't worry, I got it. Like, I picked it up. And so I went to watch the video. I went to watch the video later, and it was funny because he, like, it falls off the car and, like, a taxi runs it over. And
really?
Yeah, he gets out to get it, but...
and it survived?
Yeah.
Wow.
So you got all the footage.
Shout out to GoPro.
Shout out to quality product, man.
Yeah, but he ends up having a conversation with his chief aide, and he says, like, oh, you know, this kid... The guy's like, oh, so who is this kid? Like, what is he doing here? He's like, oh, well, he made this video game. It's, like, really crazy. Like, I'm surprised he's not a millionaire by now. And he foreshadowed...
I'm surprised
He foreshadowed all of my success, because back then was when I was doing all of that for free. I never imagined making my own game, because the amount of work and time and
he put the idea
complications that go into that. And the good thing is that me and him have remained business partners since then. Because once I actually made my own game, I came back to him and I showed him. And he was like, he came up to me, he emailed me one day. He was like, look, I see a lot of potential in what you're doing, and I want to work on you with it. Like, I want to turn this into a simulation and training tool. And so when I go in June, we're meeting with him, and we're going to go to the FDNY headquarters, and we're going to show them what I've done so far and present to them, you know.
Yeah. I'm like, man, can you
and
imagine?
it not only ends at the FDNY, but we want to go to fire conventions all over the country,
all over the world,
where like chiefs of big fire departments can come to us and say, here, I'm going to pay you this amount to make my entire fire department with my equipment and my like city and everything.
I mean, you could literally simulate your own. Like, if you're a fire department, you could simulate your own city and even buildings that you know are in the area.
Because when I came into this, it was more of a game, but now it's like, this is, once I finish this game, it's going to be a tool that I can.
It could advance the quality of the fire department.
Yeah, exactly. Which I don't want to take anybody or any of them away from, like, you know, hardcore training, which is like actually putting a blindfold on and going into a burning container or something. But for a lot of aspects, like resource management and emergency preparedness, it can be used efficiently
in the training environment. I mean,
so like people don't see that now. You know, they'd be like, "Oh, you're making a video game, whatever." You know, but once I know that I'm gonna get it to that point where fire departments around the country are actually gonna be using it, and that's for me. That's the next step. Like, for me, I don't see like myself making another game or making more games. That's not what I'm out to do. Now I'm out to actually become a firefighter and, you know, on the side run this business for where these fire departments tell me, okay, this is what I want, and I say, and I quote them like, okay, this is how much it's going to cost you for me to do all that for you, but I'm going to do it. And the good thing is I'm already going to have most of it done from what I've been working on for 6 years.
Right. So you're actually still planning on being a firefighter.
For me, this is just the beginning. And people are like, "Oh, you're making so much money," but for me, it's not. Not that it's not enough. Like I need more money, but I know where I can get it to, and I know where I need it to be. So that's
you
what
just
I'm
know
looking
you
forward
have
to.
that potential, and not fulfilling it is just not an option, right?
And about the whole firefighter thing in New York, I go because I like to hang out at firehouses and ride with them and stuff. Which they give the test every 4 years. Because trust me, I'm going to be a New York City firefighter. But they give the test every 4 years, and you have to be 17 and a half to file. But the last test, I was 17, so I couldn't file.
Oh, so you had to wait 4
But they
years.
just opened the filing in April, and they've extended it like 4 times. I don't know why, but so I'm taking the test in the fall of this year.
Fantastic.
And that's the next
Man,
step.
that's
to
awesome, man. I like that progression that because you're all about your passions, man. I mean, that's what this world is about. Entrepreneurship is all about, really following your passions. There's some people out there that they're trying to dispel people on their passions. It's not about passions, it's about something else. But you definitely put a stamp on it, saying like, this is what it's about for me. It's about your passion. Now, you starting out where you're at, and you said you want to go into becoming a full-time firefighter, right? And so with that, you got investments that's going to come because you're going to have a lot of money. So you're going to have to put it somewhere, right? So what are you planning on investing
in my business. Because I feel like even though I'm going to be making a lot of money, I feel like it's just the right amount to invest into my business. I don't want to be investing in somebody else's thing, you know, because I have my own business. I'm not out to be in the stock market and invest in somebody else's business. Like, I believe in my business enough to the point where I know when I put my money into my business, it's going to pay out. And that's what I've been doing for the last 2 years since I officially registered my business. All the money in my pocket has gone into my business. And I put probably a penny aside for leisure or whatever. My traveling and stuff, I consider it business because, you know, I'm going to New York, I'm doing my research.
Right.
But
business expense.
Absolutely.
I've gone through the heartaches, the betrayals, the empty bank accounts. I've been through it all. Like, this didn't just come in one day. It's like a long time. And
how many times do you feel like you've been wrong? How many times have you been wrong by people that you know?
Oh, the thing I will tell people, the advice is that never get too comfortable with the people that you work with, because the thing about doing a successful business or a company is you need to be around the right mindset, people with the right mindset. And what I'm doing is really hard to find somebody who has the same passion, like the same taste. You need to have somebody with high intelligence, high integrity, and like a hardworking person, because if they're missing any of those three things, then
it's just not going to work.
Yeah, because I've been through... When I didn't have any money to hire somebody, I found this guy who had the same, he had the same idea, like, oh, let's do the same thing. But he didn't have high integrity. He ended up trying to get with this other guy and stab me behind my back, which that's what it took for me to take my business from 0 to 100. Because at that point, that's when I was living in my friend's house. Like, I wasn't doing anything.
Struggling along.
So him behind my back the whole time, he was scheming with the other guy. Okay, we're going to do this and that. Once I found out, I moved out from there. I moved back into my mom's house, as bad as that sounds. But she doesn't live there. She's always out of town. So I actually finally had a room again. And I sat there, and I registered my business. I trademarked the game name. I did all the legal. I spent so much money on all the legality stuff. But to me, it was like, this is what I have to do to protect my idea. I wasn't going to let anybody take it from me.
How much did you spend?
Probably $1,500 in a week on business registration and trademarks and stuff. And then after that came spending money on getting ahead of my competition, because once I did that, they were like, okay, well, we're going to make the same game, but we're just going to change the name. So now what they did was they took my entire social media platform and turned it against me. They talked bad about me on social media.
No way.
They changed the name of all of my social media pages to their game. So I had to make...
Because they had control of all that stuff.
So I had to make all mine from scratch.
Wow.
And rebuild your fan base.
The good thing is that my fan base was there originally because of me and what I used to do with the other game.
With the mods.
These other guys were people that I brought on board for, a short period of time. So when I went inside, I said, hey, guys, look, through all this drama, I need you guys to trust me. These guys are not... They're not the real deal, trust me.
Right.
Like, if you want
They're not the core of the business.
They don't have it.
I had 80 or 90% of the people came with me on my development process, and then there was like a few stragglers who stayed with them, and they all got ripped off. So, you know,
As it happens, man.
yeah,
It
but
happens. The wrong people.
that definitely needed to happen for me to really like take off what I was doing, because I wasn't focused. I wasn't putting all the work I should have been until that point. When that happened, then I sat down every day and I worked at least 5 or 6 hours every day, and it started piecing itself together really well.
All right, fantastic. So let me ask you, since our show is we're kind of branding this show more about risk taking.
Yeah, sure.
How is it? Because I look at you, man, and some of our viewers I think will have the same opinion that you just don't fear risk at all, do you? You're just fearless. You're just going into this, and
No.
I mean I think that's what our viewers will see. Well, tell us how you really feel about that.
Risk is definitely there for every business owner or anybody.
Right.
Risk, I think there's like 3 key terms you should know: is risk, passion, and dedication. And like you need to know what you need to know what you want to do.
I like that.
But I think with anything in life is risk. So, you know,
For sure.
I wouldn't be here right now if I would have never met my girlfriend. Which it took risk for me to go up to her when I met her and talk to her, but that opened my life into so many new things, like being here, for example. And risk, for me, most of my risk was taking money that I didn't even have and putting it into what I was hoping would flourish into something.
Wow.
So when I didn't even have, when I quit my job, I was broke. I was dirt broke. I had negatives in my accounts. But I knew
Overdrawn.
Wow. How did you
you
quit
need
your
money
job?
to get something started.
And
You
you
need
need
money
money.
especially for the game development business, because if you don't have the knowledge on how to program or do animations and stuff,
Right.
you need to hire somebody to do that for you.
Right.
So money is a must, and money was definitely the biggest risk for me,
Right.
because I had all the time in the world to work on what I was doing. You know, I quit my job, so there was no risk of me losing my job. But the one thing I definitely needed to keep putting into the project was money, and the fear of like not knowing if that money is ever gonna come back.
Right.
Because there were points where I wasn't making money at all, and I was thinking all this money is going into this pit and it's not
Right.
gonna pay off. But risk is definitely something that doesn't affect me as much anymore, because I've seen when you take a risk, as long as you're confident, as long as you're passionate, if it doesn't,
As long
even
as
if
you've
it
done the
doesn't show
research.
off, even if
Yeah.
the benefits don't show right away, if you know it's going towards the right thing, it's gonna pay off.
Most
And
definitely.
so I can drop $15,000 a month on my project and not worry about it, because I know
Not lose any sleep.
I know it's
Exactly.
gonna pay off. So
Right.
risk, it's scary. It definitely is, because I've been through the scariest parts of risk. But once you start to realize how it works, you can really kind of make it work for you.
So let me ask you, how, especially in the beginning, because I think I agree with you. I think most business people that we've met, when it comes to, at the beginning, taking risks, it's extremely difficult, it's scary. But then once you start to realize that if you take an educated risk, there's always going to be that reward and that return. But how did you, I mean, especially for many of our viewers who are thinking about taking a risk, thinking about, oh man, and they're just staying up at night going, do I really follow my passion and take this
Man.
risk? I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I lost a few hours of sleep
I lost a
starting
lot of sleep.
Success Atlanta, because again, it's the same thing, you know, it's a
Yeah,
risk.
man.
But how did you overcome that initial level of risk? I mean, what parts of you and your life helped you to get there, if you will?
Well, I want to start by saying that I'm really glad that we saw that clip from Steve Harvey, because I saw that really around the time where I was starting to do the biggest risks.
Wow.
And that video really pushed me a lot, because that's one of the best quotes or like metaphors that I've ever
Nice.
related to what I do. Because if there's something you want to do but you never take the risk, nothing is ever going to happen. Nothing's going to come out of it. You know, you might fail, but taking a risk at all, not taking the risk at all, is never going to get you anywhere.
Never.
For me, I think the point where it kind of changed from everything being like a scared type of risk was around the time where they tried to steal my business from me. For me, like, I was scared to
Wow.
start a business. Like I was 19, like there's gonna be an LLC under my name and trademarks and copyrights. Like for me, that was all stuff that I didn't really want to mess with. That's why I did everything that I did for free. But once I took that risk and I saw that, you know, that protected me, that started my business in the right direction, that was the first risk that I really got out of the way. I actually ran another crowdfunding campaign after the Kickstarter, just before I released the game in November, which we raised $50,000, which you could see.
Wow.
For me, the risk with crowdfunding is that you set a goal. So let's say I want to set a goal to raise $100,000, but if you don't raise that many funds, then you don't get any of the money that people raise.
If you're $1,000 short, you would have still not gotten all of it. Did you actually hit your goal of the 50,000?
Yeah, I did.
Fantastic.
I need your help on that one.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to talk about
the best advice I can give you for crowdfunding is the video. So
that's
the video is definitely what's gonna, because nobody's gonna read through 3 pages of all this description.
Right.
They're just gonna click on the video, and if it's a good video, it's gonna catch their attention. If
the video is the most important part.
We were just talking about that, man. I swear, man. With our project, our education department. That's the education department, right? We love that, right? Anyway, so for that aspect of it, we were trying to put together, and we came to the same point that the video has to be on point.
The video is everything, I think.
Yeah, and actually that was the thing. I think me and Antonio have talked about putting together a Kickstarter and things of that nature, especially when we were starting out. And that was the biggest thing, is how do we put together, because the video is 95% of the Kickstarter. I mean, you know, especially on Kickstarter, they do have like rewards and things of that nature, which also kind of plays a big part in motivating thing. Yeah. But, you know, putting together the video and making it look like something that people would want to watch is a lot more difficult than we expected.
No, trust me, because for me, originally I was gonna go on Upwork and just hire somebody, like make me a really cool video. Like
we thought about that too.
But I actually ended up putting, I guarantee you, at least 60 hours into that video in a week.
That sounds about
right. I just sat at my computer and I worked. I set up a little, like, my phone against like a wall, and I filmed myself talking. I did everything myself, but it was, in the end, it was so much. It was worth it because I got to get my point across, even if it wasn't the best edited video.
Actually, I've seen that Kickstarter video, and it was pretty awesome. And it does. It's obvious that you did it, but it's probably the best professional job that I've ever seen from someone, especially that doesn't have any training or they don't do that for a living. So it was fantastic.
Shout out to YouTube for the tutorials.
Shout out to YouTube. Hey,
shout out to YouTube University.
Hey, I've learned so much from YouTube. Wow, man. I'm glad that you actually did that yourself and you actually went through the whole experience, and you're doing so much yourself, man. That's what we created successatlanta.org for, right? You did yourself. You put your information out there on message boards, right? See what people thought about it. And that's exactly what Success Atlanta is all about. You know, put your information out there and say, hey, does this look great, guys? Or what do you think I can add? Or do you think this is great? Or which direction do you think I should go? You know, and that's kind of that's what we're looking at with Success Atlanta, because we have the opportunity to do that, and we can message people, we can friend them, we can do all these great things on our website, and we got forums, like I said, and these forums are meant for people just like yourself, you know, that are creators that want to do something, that want to put their information out there, but nobody wants to listen, right? So you go to those the tech boards and say, hey, check this out. But we got people, it's regular people that might be interested in doing the same thing.
Exactly. That's I think that's the magic with the internet, because I think the most powerful tool for anybody starting a business is the internet. You have so many outlets to reach people. You have YouTube, you have social media, and
Google is your best friend.
Google is, but that's how I started out. I had my idea, I put it on a forum, and people were like, "Oh, this is really cool." And I want to give thanks to forums because they really keep you motivated. Because there's times where you're like, "Okay, I'm getting tired of doing this," but then you show people what you're doing, and then you see their comments and their feedback, and you're just like, "Okay, people are loving this. Like, I'm gonna keep it up." And for me, that's my biggest motivation, is reading people's comments and stuff on my Facebook page, and like their reports on what they think should be improved or fixed. Because I always appeal to everybody. Like, if somebody says, "Oh, I have a problem with this," I go out of my way to fix it for, like, ASAP. Because next time I put out an update, I don't want to have to hear about that problem again. I don't want people to associate me with just like half-assing everything. You know,
right.
For me, I like to get everything done right, and and quick and fixed. Like,
Absolutely. So, based on that, I think you've touched on two particular topics that relate to this. But throughout your journey, the support that you've gotten from different people in the world, I mean, I think you've talked about your parents giving you always the support that you needed, and then you went on community forums and shared that with the online community, and you got support there. Would you say that? Do you think that support would have made or broke you, or how important do you think that support was throughout your journey?
I wouldn't consider it like that because I've had just as much rumors about me, like the whole situation. I've had people criticizing my work. Like, people say, "Oh, this is shit. Like, it doesn't look like a PlayStation 4 game." Like, okay, that's not what I'm going for, anyways.
Right.
You know, there's always going to be people down talking you and trashing you or starting rumors about you, especially when you have a successful business, because at that point you've already reached thousands and thousands of people. Right. No, but not everybody's ever going to like you. Not
right.
There's always going to be
people. Please everybody.
Like, there was a point where I was so driven by the reviews I was getting on Steam, because I was always getting positive reviews, and then there was a point where I started getting negative reviews, and I was like,
"Oh no,
not today!" So now I'm back at positive reviews, but
nice.
I'm kind of at the point where I don't get affected by the reviews anymore. Right. I even lowered the price of my game because people were like, "Oh, this isn't worth $35," and blah blah. I lowered the price, but I changed my mind. But I still did it because I had told people I was going to do it.
Right.
But ooh. I started at that point. This was only like a few months ago, where I was like, I don't care about anybody else, because as much as I'm doing this as a business, I'm still doing it for me. This is my passion. Right. This is what I
like
what I've pursued. You know.
Yeah.
But it's always, you know, somebody's gonna give you their money and say, like, you know, here's my money. Give me this cool game. Like, you're gonna want to give them what they paid for, because that's the logical thing to do.
So if I understand you correctly, then you're essentially saying that the support that you got early on played a huge part in keeping you motivated when things were difficult. Now that, you know, you've kind of achieved that success and you're seeing the reward of what you got, you know, you still thrive on that support, but it doesn't affect you as much, because now you've kind of stabilized your own self, right? So you know, I just want to put that out there, that for our viewers, that especially when you're starting out, and this is just from my personal experience and what I've seen in the world and other people trying to get started, is support is one of those things that I know for me can make you or break you. I don't think that it's a thing that if you don't have the support, you're never going to make it. Right. But I think that
much more difficult.
It's that much more difficult, and until you actually get that support, you may never actually flourish to the level that you need to. And I think that that's a big part of why we started Success Atlanta. I think this is exactly the problem that we're trying to solve, because again, we touched on this earlier, that, you know, the education system says, "Oh, you're gonna go and start your own business, or you're gonna play video games all day and make video games. You're never gonna be successful." Right. You know, the community.
You go your own way, you're not gonna do it.
Right. Exactly. You consistently get that kick down, and there are some parents, you know, you were very lucky that you had parents that were like, "Oh, well, you don't want to go to college, you want to do this, then we support you." But I know from experience and seeing other people's lives that there are some parents that just don't, that believe in that status quo, that believe in that old school mentality. You got to go to college to be successful, and if you're not, then all of a sudden it's the end of the world, you know. And I think that, you know, but that's a big thing though, is having that support. And unfortunately, in today's world, it's very difficult to find that support unless you have friends that are like-minded, that have that success mentality. It's very difficult to get that type of support. And that's where we felt like Success Atlanta, with the forums, with the website, with the magic of the internet, as you called it, and I think that's a very accurate description, is you have the ability to find the support on your own. A lot of times we feel like we need our friends, our family, the people close to us to actually support us. But sometimes if you can't get it there, you can actually go out and find it elsewhere. There are other places where you can get it, and we're hoping that, especially for those of you that are struggling, if you're struggling to find the support that you need in your life to follow your dreams and your passions, Success Atlanta can be that place for you. I know me and Antonio will be there every step of the way for anyone who wants to come on our forums and seek advice and seek motivation and to pursue your dreams. But I think that sooner rather than later, we will have a massive community of people who will be there to connect. So.
Every day, man. I mean, we've been getting people adding to our site and people been creating profiles. Every other day, I think it has been almost every other day. People been creating profiles on our websites, and it's been pretty cool. It's been pretty cool so far, so good. I've been enjoying creating content for the page. Different books that I read, I'm pretty much going over that and actually identifying with different situations that I've been through. So that's what Success Atlanta means to us, and it's going to evolve into something bigger and grander than what we already started at.
I definitely believe in it, because there was a point where between the point where I started the game and like where I was like by myself, I was like, okay, I need to make an idea where I'm going to get super rich. I had an idea for an app, and I actually had the prototype like made out. I like paid a guy like $1,000 to make it. I made the Facebook page. I started a Kickstarter. But it all failed really bad because, one, I was not passionate about it. I just was looking for an idea to make bank off of, Yeah.
What was the idea?
I mean, we don't got to talk about it.
He's like, it was a bad idea. Don't talk about it, man.
At the time, I thought it was genius. Like, my friends were hyping me up, too. But it turned, like, my Facebook page got, like, 2 likes. And the Kickstarter made, like, $10, but,
It's all good. We all start somewhere, right?
You always go through failures, and you always. But that for me, that was kind of like, let's see, if I can do something and make money off of it. But I didn't really think much of it. The one thing I'll say is though that I really like Success Atlanta forums because it's universal. It's not one thing for my game. Like, I went on a forum about the game.
Right.
Like for
about
the game.
Firefighting simulation games.
About the game. But when I was making that app, I wanted to go on. I was looking on Reddit threads and on forums to see like where can I go to share my idea about my app and see what people think about it. I could not find a single place. But when you have a place like Success Atlanta, it doesn't matter the genre or like what your business has to do with. You can go on there and say, "Hey guys, here's my idea. What do you think about it?" And you can get unbiased opinions from people who know about what you do or know nothing about it. So I think that's where you guys are going to be really successful at.
I appreciate that, man. Definitely, man. I mean, we talking about the future, right? Like, you're 22 right now. Let's say by the time you're 30, what do you expect to achieve by the time you're 30 years old?
I want to be settled down, married in New York, a firefighter, running my firefighter simulation stuff on the side. I don't know if it's going to last that long, but,
Oh, man.
To me, it's... At that point, I want to have all of that. I want to be a firefighter, but for me, being a firefighter won't be my job. It'll be a hobby, and then running my business will actually be, what's making me money or whatever. Because firefighters don't make the best money, but I'm sure everybody knows that. Right. But in New York, you actually get a really good salary. I think a lot of people don't know, but the FDNY is like top 10 best jobs in the U.S. So
wow.
That's fantastic.
I mean, they get a lot of work in.
A lot of people underestimate it, but it's one of the greatest jobs in the world.
So will you be a volunteer firefighter, or will you be
it's fully paid. The starting pay is like $17,000 a year, but once you have some years on and you have some rank, like you're making some good money. So
right.
Awesome,
yeah,
man.
and I want to say definitely, I think, again, sharing a little bit about myself, is I worked for the police department at one point in my life. Like you, I had kind of the dream of being a cop and a firefighter and all these other things. And I think that there is definitely a lack of ingenuity, if you will, in the government and a lot of the different departments. And I think that your game will bring about a change and a way to rethink how they do things at the fire departments. And I think that will be something that I believe that if you follow your passion and you continue down this path, eventually your game will be an awesome thing for the public. But I think that your game could literally almost change the way fire departments do what they do, because they can finally create digital simulations and actual digital practice of what they're about to do and how they do it, and figure out things that they couldn't figure out otherwise, right? And I think that, again, you could potentially change the way firefighters do their job, do it more effectively and more incredibly. And if you continue down that path, I mean, there might be some government contracts down the line for your business.
Several government contracts.
Things
they
like
don't have that,
of,
right? They don't have that kind of access right now, do they?
No, there's nothing like what I'm doing right now.
Right, not even in the training.
I mean, there's like,
wow,
there's things, but they don't come anything close to what I do. So for me, what motivates me is like, I used to think there's no way I'm gonna get these old school guys like these smoke eaters to like want to sit down at a computer and.
He said smoke eaters.
Yeah, these are
is that a firefighter term?
The mustaches and the cigars and the senior guys on the job, like the guys that have 30 years on the job.
Right.
It's I started to think about it. Not like I'm not trying to get these old guys to use this stuff, but there's a whole nother generation of firefighters who are going to come on at the same time as me. Why not? This is the perfect time to put what I want. For me, I couldn't imagine my game like being used at all by the fire department, but now that I've like gotten it to a whole nother level, I can see in 100 different ways that it can be used.
Absolutely.
But now is the hard part of convincing the fire department and all these firefighters, like, because right now they're like, oh, it's a video game,
Right.
But when they see it and the detail that it brings,
I just had a thought, man.
What's up?
The military.
Dude, your simulator has so many applications to even further than fire departments.
Just mechanics alone, to understand different nuances that could happen when you're working on a vehicle, or how damaged the vehicle is, how you can fix it, right? I mean, that in itself can help train people up even faster than what we have on the job training right now. I mean, some people in the National Guard, I'm in the National Guard. I've been in the National Guard since 2005. They don't have nothing to do sometimes, right? Sometimes they don't have anything to do. Like, they're supposed to be working on these vehicles. They're supposed to be doing X, Y, Z, whatever their job is, but they're not doing it on a regular basis. So they don't get the training on a monthly basis. They don't get the training that they're supposed to get to be saying that I'm mission capable. Basically, somehow I'm prepared to go wherever you tell me to go. But they're not. They have to get trained up. But now this would lessen the curve to get them trained up, to have actual visuals and actual workarounds that they can actually, because that video game is very detailed. So they can use these, like you said, training program for the fire department. I would use that as a trial program. Is the military contracts.
And I'm going to be honest with
you. How
you.
big that could be for him?
Oh, absolutely. And I've been in the military as well, and there's a lot of downtime. But one of the biggest, I think, struggles is how do you train in a real life scenario for war? How do you train in a real life? How do you practice an actual fire where people's lives are actually in danger? You can't really practice that in real life the way that it actually happens in real life, but and you got to realize,
not like that.
Yeah, nothing to the level that it really needs to be. And you realize, and just a thought for you is, you realize VR is coming around and it's starting to become a huge thing, and actually dropping a VR engine into your game probably will not be that difficult coming down the years. So I'm just like, there are so many applications here, and honestly, if you were to build this out for the fire department properly, eventually one day somebody's gonna come around and say, hey, why can't we have this at the police department? And then the police department is gonna have it, and then the police department, there's a lot of military guys in the police department, and then eventually they're gonna go, hey, why can't we have this in the military? And honestly, you could revolutionize the way that training happens in the US or in the world if you take this. I mean, honestly, like, you could dedicate the rest of your life to this and literally change the world. And I think one of the things that me and Antonio have always said, another a subliminal goal of what Success Atlanta is encouraging people to realize that if you follow your passion, there's a way you can change the world with that passion. And I've seen it. I've seen people take some of the craziest passions out there in the world and turn them into things that just change the world, you know. And I think I've told Antonio several times is, man, I have dreams for one day, Success Atlanta being a factory for tiny Elon Musk, changing the world with their ideas and following their passion, you know. And that's why it's like, man, like, and again, I think it's just going to come to kind of like the way that when you first started, you couldn't even see people accepting your game to the level that it has. I think as you progress, and again, you're only 22 years old, man. I think by the time you become 30 years old and you've worked on this game for over a decade and you've continued to improve it, you're gonna reach another level of success that's gonna open your eyes to, wow, like people are accepting this. And I promise you, the fire departments will take your game and eventually put it into training sooner or later. Now, I will tell you, after having been in several government institutions, it could take time to slip that in there and to actually get acceptance. But I promise you, sooner or later, if you do good work and you follow your passions, people will definitely do that. So
I feel there's definitely endless possibilities with what I'm doing, because we talk so much about the fire department side of things, but the game also has police and EMS in it. So when I fully like take out the fire department stuff, like I have them training that, all right, now it's time for the police department.
Yeah, for sure.
But
seriously, man, that's gonna be hot.
Yeah, I mean, I have no limit to where I want to be.
Exactly.
So I don't see an end game for me. For me, it's like, let's see where we get.
Yeah, let's just keep moving forward and making that thing happen. And, again,
I know everything that's going to happen will happen as long as I keep putting the same amount of time and effort and taking the risks.
As long as you keep fighting towards your passion.
Because we just got a story in a magazine called Firehouse Magazine, which is sent to every firehouse in the country.
You got your game in that magazine?
Yeah, it's going to be around June or July, the story. And
June and July is going to be hot for you.
And then so I'm going in 2 weeks to meet with the FDNY like commissioner and everything to talk about the game. So that's going to be really the defining point. So I got to be sure I'm ready to, like, you know, present it and everything the right way so that it all goes well. But I have no doubts that it's going to go well.
That's what's up, man. I definitely, man, I have high hopes for you, man. I mean, from what you have going on right now and everything that's possible, man, you're going to be changing so many people's lives, man.
I really hope so.
You're going to be changing so many people's lives. I mean, what you hear right now, man, dude, you're going to be changing so many people's lives because so many people want to be a part of that. They don't understand what it takes. And so that's going to help them. That's going to help them so much. And them to be able to identify, like you said, some of the main structures in your cities, like you was talking about, like each city, they want to have their own. So they can help, you can help them identify all the pain points in their cities, right? Yeah. And help them find any answers to all their problems. I mean, you're onto something huge. And I can congratulate you right now on all your success. Because what you've done so far is nothing compared to what you have in front of you.
Absolutely.
And that's all about scaling your business, man. That's what we're all about, is helping you scale your business. And what you've talked about right now and where my mind just went and raced to, man, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy for you.
Yeah, there's nights where I stay up thinking about it. And
I see some great things, man. So. I definitely want to see a book coming from you. I want to see that, and I also want to see a mentoring facility that you got going on to groom the next Rafael.
Yeah, I'll definitely be scouring those forums you guys make. I want to see some of these ideas and give my feedback to them.
Definitely,
yeah, absolutely.
Man.
And, I think that one of the biggest things is,
cool.
And
you can do that.
I don't know how you see it, but the way I've seen it, and I think you and I I think all three of us actually, we have all a very similar mentality on the fact that we believe that we're the ones doing what we have to do to actually make our passion and our dreams come true, right?
Sure.
And
creators.
I think that there is something very important that I definitely want to get across to our users or to our viewers is that, do you believe that, while you said, right, that you're one of the only people who is making this dream happen, do you believe that other people don't have the capacity, or do you think that they have the same ability to do what you want to do if they wanted to?
Anybody can do anything. That's my true belief. The thing is, you have to want it bad enough. That's the number one rule. No matter what you want to do, as long as you keep your head on it and it's really what you want to do, you're going to be successful at it. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter if you don't even see that field or whatever being ever successful. You're going to be good at it, and you're going to be successful, because no matter what it is, if you love it enough and you put enough time and effort and hours into it, you're going to get good at it. And when you're good at something, you're going to be successful at it. But
I'm an expert.
yeah, no, that's I always heard that when I was younger, but like now
Like,
when
you
I've
become
lived
an
it,
expert,
when you
right?
live
It's
it,
totally different now,
it's
right?
totally like, I mean, it has a whole different meaning.
Right.
And I hope people can, like, when they hear that advice, any advice that somebody who is successful has given them, people kind of just like, oh, you know,
Throw it to the side.
they got lucky, but no, like, it really takes hard work and time. Like, you guys with this idea, I have no doubt it's gonna be successful, but just don't give up on it. Like, the forums might not pop off in 1 day or 2 days. Like,
Right.
give it a few months. Like, when I go home and I have this stream, I'm gonna put it on my business website, and I'm gonna tell people, like, this is the place to go. If you guys, if my fans and stuff, if they have any ideas, I know so many of them contact me like, oh, I want to do this and that. Can you help me, or can you make this for me? Like,
Right.
I wish I could just tell them, like, no, like, grow up and do it yourself. Like, but
Right.
that's definitely the right place to send them, because
Yeah.
when you have an idea and you really want to get it out, it's really good to get it out, because a lot of people are like, oh, I have this awesome idea. Let me not tell anybody about it. Like, let me just keep it in the closet because I don't want anybody to know about it,
Right.
because it's a good idea, but they never do anything with it. The best thing to do is talk about your
Share.
idea. Share it with everybody, not just with
Definitely.
your friends, but, like, get it out there, because that's how you're going to get your idea started and your business started. For me, it took the way I got lucky with my first crowdfunding and stuff was that I had already my fan base, but that fan base took a lot of time to build when I was making those mods and stuff.
Right.
Because at first it was like, oh, this is just something I'm doing privately, like, on my own.
Right.
But once I started giving it out to people, like, they were like,
Open up that door.
and
say,
I always
see?
wanted to get better and better, so I'd make, like, version 1, version 2, version 3, and people would see, like, the improvement. And it got to a point where I got so good at it that my mod was better than the actual game.
Wow.
And, you know, people would buy the game just to
Damn.
play my mod.
Just to play the mod.
Just to
Yeah.
play that mod.
And I couldn't do anything else because there were so many limits with their game engine. They didn't allow you to do more with it.
Right.
And I kind of just got stuck. And then I eventually was like, I started to think about everything I could do if I
Right.
had made my own game from scratch.
Absolutely.
And
Without limits.
there's no limits. Like, with the game, like, if I wanted to make a guy, like, shoot up into the air, like, I could do that in 5 minutes.
Superman firefighter.
Exactly. You can do anything. It's awesome.
But I think that that's huge, and I think you
Yeah,
hit on a
man.
very good point that I think is worth sharing, because I know that I
love that
know a lot of people in my life that also believe that, you know, you have to keep things to yourself. You have to hide things from the world, because the world's out to get you, you know. And you know, but I think I know that I mean, I'm only here at Success Atlanta, and this has only become a reality for us because I shared with a very special individual who, you know, I've met and I've known for a while, but never really on a deeper level. But, you know, being willing to share that information with someone else can take your idea and give it fuel, give it fire, give it
Exactly.
oxygen. You know, I think
Yeah, man.
I believe that sharing with others is the oxygen that your idea needs to actually flourish into the fire that it can become. You know,
Yeah,
And-
people can be really, really selfish. When you have an idea, you're like, okay, I have an awesome idea. I want to make money off of it. Why am I going to involve somebody else who's going to try and take profit or something? That's not what you need to think about. You need to think about, what can this other person with the same mindset as me contribute to this project? Because that's half the workload, half of the knowledge that you need.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
And-
you double your efficiency and everything, and it's
and like anything else in the world is actually, and I really do believe that,
says it all,
you know, people they don't work like normal math. 1 + 1 does not make 2. I really do believe that when it comes to human beings and people, if you can get everybody on the same page, with the same passion, with the same mindset, working towards the same goal, 1 + 1 = 5. Okay, I mean, you're gonna do 5 times more what you could do by yourself, or you're gonna sit here and go, if I bring somebody else, that only doubles. No, I've seen it. I mean, again, I've seen it time and time again with different businesses and different people who are chasing their passions. But when they can actually bring in ideas from people who they share their business with, and then also sharing it with their business partners who can contribute and things of that nature, the math doesn't add up like normal math. It's exponential. It's almost 2 to the second. Yeah, 2 squared, not 2 + 2. You know,
Right.
it's one of those things. So I definitely think there's a huge value to that. So
Yeah, but I'd also say, like, don't get comfortable.
Right.
Not to you too, but I'm
Right,
saying
no, as
for
a
me,
general-
like when I thought I found somebody who was like gonna make me and my business like really work
Absolutely.
really well, it wasn't that person. But I realized you needed, because when you're a game developer, you hire somebody. You're like, okay, this person's gonna help me succeed. Thing is, they're in it for the money. They want
They're
to
in there for their own
They want to
success.
get paid what you're gonna pay them. They're working for you. They're not a business partner.
Right.
So for me,
Good point.
it was hard to find a business partner and all those people that were working for me.
Right.
But definitely with people who are starting a business, finding another person, it's hard for me because what I do is so like different, you know.
Sure.
But people who are trying to start a business, definitely finding another person with the same mindset, the same values, with good integrity and hardworking person. If they have all of those things, then there's no doubt that y'all are going to be successful as long as both of you work together.
Absolutely.
I think that's one of the most important things, is surrounding yourself with people who, not just business partners, but people who support you.
Right.
Surrounding yourself with friends who have the same mindsets as you. You can't be with people who, because with me, like, I used to tell my idea to my friends, and like they did
How'd that
not
work out for you?
they did not believe in me. But now, like, I'm
Right.
you know, I have my car, and like they see I'm traveling all the time. Like, what I did paid off, you know. But I used to tell people, oh, I make a video game. And some of my friends believed in me, and then some of them were just like,
Yeah, I think we've all experienced that.
yeah,
to
no,
some level.
and I want to make sure everybody understands to not get discouraged, because there's probably no idea that there's not many ideas that you'll go up to your parents or your friends and be like, listen to this, and then you tell them and they're like, all right, here's 10 grand, like, I'm
Right.
investing right now, like, do it. No, people are gonna say like, oh, that's cool, you know, like they're not gonna give you that support and motivation you need right off the bat. Once they see that you're making something out of it,
Yeah.
then they start to really.
Yeah. And I think that's a big thing, is people, for some reason, they see, I think like people like us, we, and most likely most of our viewers, I think we can see value where it doesn't exist yet. We can see value in an idea that perhaps hasn't flourished yet, and that's what makes us different, you know. And that's what makes us. And I think that's what you really have to realize, is you can be one of those people who either believes, who has to see to believe, or you could be one of those people who has faith in what you know and what you believe in, and then you move forward with that. And I think that that's one of the biggest problems, is when we share our ideas with the normal people out there, they all have to see to believe it. They have to see it in order to really take you seriously.
Yeah, for me, one of the best ideas recently that I've heard, it's these glasses that basically play music, but you don't have any earphones in. You can hear it like if you had earphones in. They have vibrators here that like vibrate into your skull, and they play the sound
you
waves.
actually hear it in
You
your
hear
head.
it, and people put on the glasses and they're listening to music, and they're like, you can't hear the music, and everybody's like, no. But
Wow.
I saw that idea and I went to the website and I wanted to buy them, but it's still one of those like prototype things.
yeah.
But
Like the Google frame.
to me, like, I actually considered like investing in that, because to me I can guarantee you that in a year or two those are going viral. Like, everybody's gonna have them.
Absolutely. That sounds pretty awesome.
That's pretty.
And that's
You're
good.
getting a lot of people. You're getting a lot of feedback from everybody that you're dealing with. I guarantee you, like just like that idea right there, you would definitely love to invest in something like that. I mean, just all I'm saying is that there's always ideas out here, and not everybody is willing to put in the work, right? Not everybody's willing to put in the work. You've seen that several times. People have ideas. I don't want to do it, but this is a great idea, right? You know, I hear it too many times, man. Too many times, right? And just to touch on something else, like the mindset you were just talking about, the dreamers, right? Before this building was built, somebody saw it. They saw it before it was built. All this construction going up, somebody seen and drew it out. This is what I want here. I want it here. I want this here. I want this here. They're visionaries. They see it before it's even built. It's nothing here but grass.
That's exactly the mindset I've had since I became successful. Was I look at everything in everyday life, and I'm like, somebody dedicated their life to making this, like this microphone. Somebody dedicated their life to designing it and making a business out of it.
Right.
And there's opportunities everywhere. You just gotta want it bad enough. You gotta find what it is that you really want to do.
Absolutely.
And put your effort into, and you'll be. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't need to be a $10,000 idea. It doesn't need to be $1 million idea. If it's something that you love to do, whether you're an artist, a musician, like
inventor,
an architect, like as long as you put the work and the time into it, you're gonna be successful at it. You don't need to be an entrepreneur. You don't need to be a business owner. You can be anything, but as long as it's what you want to do, and you wake up every day and you say, "I want to do this job," like. I'm happy, you're going to be good at it, and you're going to be successful.
And see, you just hit on something that I was actually just about to talk about is, you know, with Success Atlanta, we talk about a lot about entrepreneurship, and we talk a lot about business owning and things of that nature. But the reality is exactly what Rafael just said is this mentality, the success mindset, this driving for your passion and your goals can be done at your job. It can be done in your personal life. It can be done at your church. It can be done anywhere that you want to do that. It doesn't have to be a business. You don't have to be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship, again, we don't want people to think that we're like the public system, right? There's one magic key for everything, and it's college. Where we're not going to be Success Atlanta going, the one magic key to your success is to start a business. No, that's not the case. We focus on entrepreneurship because it is one of the few places in the world where you can do things without borders, without limits, which is why we focus on it. But we want to make it very clear to our viewers that you can do it within the confines of whatever you're in, no matter what. You know, you don't have to be an entrepreneur to follow our show and to learn about the success mindset. If you, I mean, me, I have a very successful career that I absolutely love, and and I don't know where that's going to take me, but I do the best that I can in my career, and I fulfill a large part of my passion through my career. Success Atlanta fulfills a different passion, things of that nature. But for every person, it's different. The solution is different. But the mindset, the education that we're putting out right now, that is global. That is universal. That is something that you can apply to whatever you want to do. If you're in college and you want to go to college, and that's something that you need for your career, and that's something that you're passionate about, then be awesome at it. Be ingenious about it, and follow it the way that you believe it should be followed. And if something isn't the way you want it, something at your job, something at your school, do what you can to change it if that's what you're passionate about, if that's what your passion is. So
some other advice I'd like to give people is there's people who go to school, like college, and when they get to the point where they need to major in something, there's so many people who are not sure what they want to do. Right. And people do things
general studies
just because people do things just because they're like, oh well, this is what my parents would want, or this makes the most money.
Right.
But it takes a long time for some people to find what it is that they want to do. It might be after they graduate from college. It might be while they're in college. It might be towards the end where they're finishing up their master's degree or something, and then they completely realize, like, this isn't what I want to do with my life.
Right.
But
sounds like me.
I think the best way to find out what it is you want to do is open yourself to new things all the time. Like, every chance you get, go somewhere new, go meet new people, and you're always going to be introduced to new things, new experiences, new activities, new sports. Definitely. And there's going to be a point where you find what it is that you really like to do. it might even be something that you've been doing all along. You just didn't realize how passionate you were about it.
You're wise beyond your years, young man.
I know, right? That wisdom, man. That wisdom. And I'm telling you something, man. You are something else. 22 years old, putting out that kind of wisdom is fantastic. So, yeah.
Her a while too.
That girl of yours is better appreciate what you got on your head, man, because in your head is fantastic.
Yeah, man.
But and I think that's huge, and I think that's one of the big things that I do definitely agree with is always try to move towards your passion. And like you said, sometimes like for me, I was like you. I was very similar. I played video games all the time, and I ended up programming stuff, and it was just a hobby. It was something that I was like, I'm not passionate enough to actually do it for a living, but at the time I felt like I was more passionate about making a difference in the world. So I joined the military, figured that wasn't quite the best thing for me. Then I was like, well, maybe I could do it as a cop. I went as a cop, and then while I was a cop, I naturally, while I was there trying to follow my passion, I naturally gravitated towards my natural passion because I just kept trying to find my passion. And that was the thing. While I was at the police department, I just leaped at a computer and because I was like, well, you guys are having a problem, I can solve it. And I was passionate about solving it, and the rest is history. But the point is like, if you're just doing things like Rafael said about you're just following a path just because, or just because you're trying to please someone or whatever the case may be, you're never going to find your passion. You have to actually chase after your passion, and sometimes that just means trying new things. Sometimes that means, I think I'm passionate about being a cop, and let's just give it a shot. I don't know if it's going to work or not. I think when I became a cop, most people looked at me funny because they were like, you were not cop material. But I was like, hey, I may not be, but I'm going to give it a shot anyway, and turns out I wasn't. I mean, I felt like I was a good cop, but I definitely wasn't as good as many of the cops out there. But again, because that wasn't my core passion, my core competency, but I found my core competency through it because I was always following along with that. So
you should never be discouraged. For one, you should never be. I had so many times where I told myself, this is what I want to do. I wanted to be an engineer. I wanted to go to Georgia Tech. I wanted to, like I said, be a pilot and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But there's points where you realize, like, okay, that's not what I want to do.
Right.
Like, that's not, like, I don't even know why I wanted to be an engineer. I had no interest. I think to me it was like, you're either a doctor, because all my parents, my sisters, my brother are doctors.
Wow. So family of doctors.
Yeah, so for me it was like,
you're the game developer.
Yeah, for me it was like, okay, I'm either going to be a doctor or like an engineer or scientist or something.
Right.
When you're young, you don't know all that. You don't know all the options you have. But you're gonna go through a lot of things and realize it's not what you want to do. But you can't just be like, all right, I'm never gonna find what I want to do. There's always gonna be something. I guarantee for every person, there's at least 10 things that they would love to do,
right?
And some like passions they would have. But it takes the time to find it. At least find one of them.
Yeah, just keep trying them until you settle on the one that you realize that is really my passion.
But every time you find something you think you want to do, and then it turns out to not be it, it's a big hit. Because you spend so much time or your entire tuition on studying that, and then you realize it's not what you want to do. Yeah, it's a big hit, but that opens another door for you to find something else. Right. And I feel like people should always be on the search and on the pursuit of finding what it is they want to do. Because I feel like happiness comes from doing what you love and being with the people you love. Yeah. But if you're working a job that you don't enjoy, or you're waking up every day and going to work like, oh God, I hate my life, or if you're in a abusive relationship or something, like take the time to reevaluate things and see, where am I now and where do I want to be, and what is it that I want to be doing? Because, I really hope people who don't have the best opportunities to get out of the life they're in, I hope I know everybody has an opportunity. You just have to make it happen. And it takes a lot of effort for some people, and other people are blessed to have those opportunities. But I know for a fact that it's possible for anybody, because I've heard stories of the most successful people, like, starting from nothing, literally nothing, having nothing. And it's possible for anybody, but it takes the time and the effort and the work and the dedication especially.
Okay. You're definitely right about that, man. And you showed it all today in this show. All the dedications you've been able to put in your craft and your mindset in doing it. and how you're gonna sustain it. So I think anybody that sees this program, sees our show, and sees your delivery will understand that this is somebody I really want to follow, somebody I really want to invest my time, money, and energy into, that they want to see you become a successful person in this world, because you have it already laid out in front of you, man, and you've already positioned yourself to do so. So I think that, man, the sky's the limit for you. I thank you so much for being on our show, man. Is there anything that you would like to tell our viewers, last nuggets of wisdom or anything like that, or anything that you could help them find what their true passion is? Like, say, a book that you read, or somebody you talked to, somebody put a nugget into you that pushed you along the way, or just adversity, maybe.
Well, thanks for having me. And my advice would be trust in life and trust in God, because I feel like, I knew at an early point what I was doing and where I was going, but I feel like everything happened at the perfect timing.
Wow.
And at the right place and the right time, and everything fell into the right place. Perfectly. It was crazy. So I really think just trust in life and trust in God, and just follow what you love, and everything will work itself out.
Fantastic.
That's awesome, man.
Most life-changing book?
Mind of Your Own.
Mind of Your Own. Okay. Fantastic. Can you tell us a little bit about that book? Just a really quick synopsis.
Well, it's a motivational book, and it's a book I started to read a few years ago. And I was actually given to it from my military school, but it's
Nice.
Just kind of tells you, it kind of opens you up to things you didn't even know about yourself and about your own mind. And I don't really know. It's been so long since I read it, but
No, it's good.
I remember it completely changed like the way I looked at things.
Okay. Fantastic.
There's always that one book. Well, for certain people, for me, it was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. That was my mind-opening book. Like, wow, I'm capable of all this. Like, if I just follow certain steps or a period, this is how my mind operates, like you just mentioned. Once you have that kind of eye-opening experience, you can never turn back. Once that door is open, you can never turn back. Because if you get caught in drifting, what we call it, drifting, going by your own emotions and just living vicariously through whatever was going on in your life at the time, not thinking about anything else, that's what drifting is. So you find yourself drifting, but you know what you're capable of doing. So you constantly beating yourself up. But you can always hit that switch, knowing that, but you had your eyes open, so when the situation came, you was available, right? Certain people are enthralled with all these opportunities, but their eyes are not open, so they can't see what their true vision is for their life, or at that moment, you know what I mean? Because everybody changes,
Right.
It changes, it's fluid. But as long as your eyes are open, you consistently see your vision happening and evolving, so your motivation keeps grinding and pushing you further. And I think that's what got to you. You was able to see, and you was able to visualize yourself becoming a successful person and being a game developer, because you understood what you was doing. You was like, man, I got something here. I'm gonna keep pushing because my eyes are open. And I definitely can appreciate that. I thank you for that nugget, and I'm definitely gonna look that up and put it on our website so we can have it.
Last
All right.
thing, where can people? So we've talked about your game is on Steam. For those of you that don't know what that is, it's an
I had to
engine
look that up.
that disperses video games. Essentially, you can go on Steam and purchase a ton of games, but you can go on Steam and find.
Yeah, if you look up
NYC.
Emerge NYC on Steam, that's my game. It's
Fantastic.
Emerge. It's Emergency, but you switch the Y and the C so that it's NYC.
I thought that was
Right,
pretty
New York
cool.
City. Got
Yeah,
it.
I couldn't think of a better name than that, honestly.
I think that was really creative.
And,
fantastic. And what do you have? Your business has a website?
Yeah,
social media?
flipswitchgames.net, and then we just launched emergenyc.com, where we have our new forums on there. We have Facebook page, Flipswitch Games, Twitter, Flipswitch Games, Instagram, all types. That's a good thing to start your business, is open up to different social media platforms, and make sure you always maintain them, because
Yeah, that's a good.
it's hard to maintain 6 different websites and stuff,
Right.
but you always keep them updated, because each different website has
Hootsuite.
different people,
Right.
So-
And finally, I believe we can find you on Success Atlanta. You've created a profile at
Yeah.
Appreciate that,
Rafael
by the way.
Hernandez. So if any of our viewers have any further questions or want to just pick his brain or, just have a good chat with a very bright and very passionate young man, please do so. And, just get out there and share. And definitely, if you love this episode, please share it. And,
Please share it. All right.
And because again, this is something that we believe everyone needs to know what we're putting out here, and this mentality. I mean, this is how you find real happiness, is following your passions.
There you go. And we'll be ready for those people when they come. We'll be ready for them. All right. So once again, thank everybody for showing up and checking out our information that we had. We had a lot of information to cover, and I just want to say thank you to all our viewers. You guys are awesome. Thank you to Rafael for showing up, man. Jonathan, thank you for co-hosting. And I appreciate everybody. All my fans, all friends, my family, my kids, I love y'all. And, hey, make your life the best by making the right choice. By going for your passion. What's inside of you has to come out. It has to come out. One way or another, it has to come out. So choose our form. Choose any other form that you would like. As long as you get it out, that's all I'm excited about. I want to see you grow. I want to see you succeed in one way or the other. But do what you have to do to get that out of you, because somebody has to hear it. You can change somebody's life, change somebody's generation of life, create so many different lifestyles just by your one idea. So with that said, thank you so much for tuning in to Success Atlanta. Our new times, 8 to 10, here on Instinct Radio. I appreciate everybody. We love y'all, and see you next time. Make sure you own it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're now tuning into the very best. It's yours truly, Jazzy Fizzle, Fizzle, Fizzle. And this is Instinct Radio, man. Tune in, baby. Oh, boy.